A letter from Keela Barleywain to her wife, Tess.
My dear, my sweet, my love, my Tess. Sorry it's taken me so long to write. This trip has been non-stop. I always forget how big and busy Greyhawk is. It's only been 2 days, and I've already shopped our Underhill Amber to 4 bars, 2 taverns, 3 inns, a public house, and one particularly boozy sorcerer. I think it's going to be a good season for us. Balmo seems to be doing quite well here, which still surprises me. I love my fool of a brother, but I'd never have picked him out for a life of service and quiet contemplation. I mean, you're the last person I need to explain that to, but he's taken to it. He really has. It's taken the edge off him. Strange to say, but I'm feeling quite proud. Now, before you read this next part, I need you to promise me 3 things. 1, you won't freak out. 2, you won't tell my dad. 3, you won't tell Balmo. Okay? Okay. I got mugged. Are you freaking out? Stop freaking out. I'm fine. I was just poking around in the marketplace and some mangy brigand waved a knife vaguely in my direction. So I gave him what I had, which was just a little pouch of coppers because unlike Dad, I'm not dumb enough to carry the family cash box around with me. What I am a bit upset about is that the bastard also got the little present I had picked up for Balmo. His quarters are so stark and empty, so I grabbed him just this little wooden figure of a dog. And it was only a copper, but it looked kind of like the dog our neighbors had when we were growing up, and I already had a bit of an emotional attachment to it. But past is past, and I've got to get on to 2 more taverns before the dinner rush starts. 3 more days of this before I head back home, and I will miss you every second of it. XO, 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 XO. K.
In the city of Greyhawk, 5 individuals are united by circumstance. A brewer priest, a haunted swordsman, a living relic, a caustic criminal, and a golem without a past. With the drawing of a single card, their lives have been turned upside down. Welcome to The Chimera, a role-playing adventure podcast. Our campaign this season is called Misplaced. It takes place in the venerable setting of Greyhawk, kind of, and we're playing with a modified version of 4th edition Dungeons & Dragons. I'm Vin LeBate, and I play Goldeneye Drakashi, a Dragonborn rogue. Joining me today are...
I'm Braden Lamb, and I'm playing Balmo, a halfling cleric.
I'm Jeffrey Bard, and I play Sir Simeon, the human sword mage.
I'm Josh Hallbachner, and I play Ashlar, a warforged sorcerer.
I'm Kacey Smith, and I play Latchkey, a shardmind with the dual classes of Battlemind and Scion.
And I'm Kelly Weissman Asbruth Jackson, the Dungeon Master.
Now, let's get started.
The room is bare. The space is emptier and cleaner and brighter than almost anything that any of you have context for. The light is high, but wrong somehow. The tones aren't quite right. The corners of the room are difficult even to see because the entire expanse of it is so gleaming white and bare. On the 4 sides that surround you in the middle of each wall, there's a large metal disc that suggests that it might be some sort of a door. You are standing on a platform in the middle of the room, and there are several smaller platforms around you. Some of them appear to have markings on them, some of them it's not quite as clear. There is, strangely, at least for you, no sound in the room but the sounds that you make. No smell in the room but the scents you brought with you. For urbanites, which most of you are, whose most recent shared context has been the ocean and the jungle, this is a very jarring change. And remember, of course, that in addition to the 4 of you, we also have Demertha Ophaly, along for the ride. What would you like to do?
Okay, so just double checking a couple things.
Yes.
So there's 10 total pillars.
There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, there are 10 smaller platforms. So your platform is in the middle, and it is the highest of them, and it is the widest of them. There are 6 essentially north of you in an arc, and 4 south of you in another arc. And those are roughly a quarter of the size and about half of the height of the one you're standing on.
What's the height of the one we're standing on?
I think I said it was about 5 feet outside, and it is specifically just a mirror of what it appears as outside.
Okay, so it's a bit of a hop down, but not anything.
There are steps.
Oh, steps. Okay.
And then there's also a giant portrait of Callista in the card form.
So, as I said, there are these metal circles that at least suggest the idea they could be a door to you. And above the one to the south, again, I'm sort of being arbitrary about assigning south, but we're going to call it south. So the walls here are plain white, just like the floor, and the ceiling is also plain white except that it glows. The wall above the door to the south, that there's like a very large picture that takes up much of the height of the wall above the door and a substantial portion of the width. The picture is not framed. It's just sort of like it just sort of starts as an interruption in the whiteness of the wall. And that picture is a playing card. It is a playing card from a 3-Dragon anti-deck. It is the playing card that you have in your hand. It looks exactly the same. Same markings, same number, of course, same image of Callista.
And then there was also something that was said that was in Callistra's voice.
When you arrived, a disembodied voice said, "Greetings, Orgnenchen. Welcome back to the princess."
So the cube from the outside is the same size, we would guess, as the space that we're in now.
The cube from the outside, I've been pretty clear about, is 100 feet on a side.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little bit harder to judge distances in an interior, but this is a large enough space that it must take up nearly the entirety of the cube.
Okay.
Maybe there's space for just a little bit more, but it's you would be confident that this is at least the overwhelming majority of the cube. And it's another cube-shaped room, so...
But there are doors, maybe.
There do appear to be doors. There are these metal discs. They have lines in them. I try to describe things on the basis of what your characters have reference points for, but I don't have a good way of doing that here. It has an iris-like appearance, right? Like the shutter on a camera.
Was the voice, did that seem to be directed at any one of us, or that just sort of filled the room?
It filled the room. It was loud, but not oppressively so. Do we have a reaction from you, Jeff?
Yes. I mean, it's going to take him a couple of seconds to really kind of get his bearings and, I don't know, like take it all in. But I think at some point he's going to be staring at the picture of Callista on the wall. He's going to take out the picture of Callista. Sorry, I have so much music playing. That should all stop very soon. And I think he's going to say, "Ash,
yeah,
can you pinch me and wake me up?"
Ash will lean over with 2 fingers extended, kind of look carefully, and then make a very slow, determined effort to pinch so as not to pinch too hard. But he will pinch.
As he's going to let the pinch just kind of go all the way through. It's like, okay, it's still not waking him up. Still not. I'm assuming that Sir Simeon's not going to wake up during this.
That's correct.
Okay. Then Sir Simeon will say, "That'll do, Ash. That'll do." Callista, are you actually here?
So he just says that aloud.
Yeah, well, something talked to me or talked to us, so I'm just talking back, I guess.
The voice returns and says, "Your confusion is understandable, Orgnension's guest. This is the voice of the princess."
The princess being Callista. Where are they keeping you?
The princess is a place.
Where in this place are they keeping you, Callista? I mean, so it's talking like Callista, but not like Callista. Is that kind of the gist?
I mean, it's not like warm,
Right.
It's like listening to a recording of a human voice.
Right.
That's not something that's completely unprecedented for characters who live in a magical world. There are essentially like programmed images or programmed. You can use illusion magic to produce sound where there is no person. Right. That's not completely
unusual.
Well, it's unusual, but it's not without precedent.
Right.
But this is like the celebrity Garmin voice version of Callista, basically.
I'm not getting the reference, but I believe it.
One of those, one of those when you can download Ice-T to be your
got
GPS voice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Latchkey and Ash, you are all seeing and hearing what I am seeing and hearing, correct?
Yes.
This is Callista. This is the Callista of my dreams. This is the Callista, the woman who I fell in love with. This is the Callista that I know.
The voice again. This is the transportation chamber, Orgnension's guest. Callista's quarters are elsewhere.
Oh.
Ash will kind of lean over a little bit and say, "Well, it is the woman on your card here," and he'll flick it.
Which is Callista. I don't know how she got into the card, and I'm not sure how she got into this cube, but apparently her quarters are here.
I mean, did you fall in love with an image on a playing card? Is that what we're saying? Because
No.
I've seen some other playing cards that you should see.
She was very much flesh and blood.
For once, Ash is 100% on Balbo's side here. He's just going to lean over and kind of nod. Yeah.
I have a question,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe this happened suggestion.
Mm-hmm.
So we sort of discussed prior to starting the game that Sarsimian, being a traveler, may have visited the inn where Latchkey and Rakashi were staying.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
He definitely has.
So they've known each other, and they may have even had to bunk up in a room for a night or two.
Mm-hmm.
So my question is, has Latchkey ever seen any of Sarsimian's dreams?
Yeah, we have this. There's a dream. Latchkey needs to be around dreaming individuals essentially as a replacement for food, we established.
For sleep, not for food.
For sleep, sorry, not for food. For sleep. And I think that the idea was that they got some sort of a peek at those dreams, because I think that makes sense and it's more interesting narratively. So if Latchkey has slept in a space adjacent to Sarsimian, which we've established really must have happened, then yes, they definitely have, because Callista basically haunts Sarsimian's dreams. So it's inevitable that they would have seen Callista before.
Cool. I like that.
So Latchkey will take a thoughtful look at the mural and sort of look over at Sarsimian and consider the card that he's holding and say, when you say this is the woman of your dreams, you are being literal.
This is literally the woman of my dreams. Yes.
Why do you dream of her if you do not know where she is?
Ash is going to kind of point to the playing card again.
Ash, I would like to remind you that from that deck came the Chimera card, too. That deck was unusual. The last thing I
That's-
expected was to see her, and certainly not her in that form. But to your question, Lechke, I don't know where she is. I thought she left to go home a long, long time ago, but it turns out that she never made it home, and she's been missing for a very long time. I think she haunts my dreams so that I can find her.
So we're all still just standing on the platform here, right?
I have not moved.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Mhm.
I'm gonna start walking down the stairs.
Okay. Yeah, it's just like a couple of steps. I guess probably maybe 4 or 5 to get down to the level of the rest of the room, and then
Sorry.
good.
I was gonna say which direction do the stairs go, or is it stairs all around the entire outside?
Is it stairs around the entire outside? It's a circle. It's a raised platform with steps all circular steps going out from it, right? And then the other platforms are smaller and shorter, and so have fewer steps up. But it's all the same way around.
Like a big teleporty cake.
And then so each of the platforms north of you in that arc, the ones that are numbered, they have numbers on them. You can see that just standing on the original platform. Staying on the central dais, you can see there's numbers on that. The ones to the south, I've put letters on to help note their differences, but there's no obvious markings on those platforms.
Okay.
And so the portrait is to the south.
The portrait is to the south.
Okay, so then absent any specific guidance from the shape of the platform, I am going to walk down the stairs to the south and start walking towards the door or door-like thing underneath the portrait.
As he does that, I'm going to ask Callista, in which direction is Callista's quarters?
Again, this is not Callista. This is the voice of the princess. Let me see if there's a second part of the answer.
It remembers.
And the answer is all paths can lead to Callista's quarters.
Oh, well.
All right, at that point, I'll just start following Ash. He takes a heavy sigh. Of course, this isn't going to be easy.
So I'm going to walk right up to it. How tall is the door?
The door is about... It's a circle with a 10-foot diameter, basically.
Okay. I'm going to rap on it with my knuckles.
Okay. So you're touching it.
That's always a good thing.
When Ash raps on it with his knuckles, there is a notable clanging noise, metal on metal, and no other effect.
Okay.
Latchkey is going to join Ash and Sir Simeon and rest their hand against the door.
Another clanging noise, crystal on metal, no other effect.
Princess, can you open this door?
Yes, the door opens. It sort of irises open.
Why did you have to think about that?
I know.
It's a whole bunch of these swirly metal segments that unswirl, and then there's just no door anymore, right? They just went into the wall somehow. Down past the door, there is a corridor, a cubic. So it's like a circular hole, and it opens onto a square corridor, but only about roughly the same width as the extensions, the diameter of the circle. And it's also pure white. It's also lit overhead. Actually, the light of it seems to come on after the door opens. Like it was dark in there, and then the light started from the ceiling again. And that goes on for, about 10 feet or so. And then there is another one of those doors.
It's a loading tunnel.
So, so we're definitely not in a cube or the cube.
It does seem... It seems like this... With this hallway, it's definitely past the point where you can believe this all fit inside that cube.
Okay.
Is there any obvious magical effect to like the space within the door? Like maybe this is kind of academic, but I guess I'm trying. There's like one concept here, where we beamed into something that's just completely not related to the cube itself at all, and we're just in a physical space. And another one where the cube, the area that we landed in, is actually inside the cube, and the doorways or portals somewhere else.
Okay, and you want...
So I'd like to try to figure out the distinction there.
So that sounds like you're trying to make this like an Arcana check? Is that...
Yep.
Okay. Can you give me a stunt for that Arcana check? How is... Talk to me about Ash's method of sensing the arcane in this situation.
Okay. So I think basically how this is going to work is I'm going to go up, once the door opens, I'm going to hold up kind of one finger a little bit behind me to kind of like signal that I'm going to do something.
Okay.
I'm going to take my other hand, put it as close, like at the highest point on the circle that I can reach. And I'm going to start like running it around on the inside. As I'm doing this, like my Phoenix tattoo is going to start to spark and flare a little bit. And there's probably going to be some kind of like, little sparks basically coming off my finger as I'm doing this. And I'm going to kind of do this, making it, kind of going a little bit faster for a second until there's kind of, I'm producing this like amount of little light sparks that's kind of like relatively visible and obvious. I'm going to stop, and then I'm going to kind of bend over and look really closely at it. So I'm kind of watching the way that this magical energy that I've stirred up is moving in the area of the doorway to see whether that seems to reflect like a spatial anomaly or something.
Gotcha. But you're focused on the doorway.
Yeah. Or like the space, the place that you go when you step through the doorway. So I want to see if there's like a spatial change there or there-ish.
Okay, so you are trying to include like the whole of the hallway. So.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to make sure that I preface this with something that at least Ash and probably Sarsimian, I think all the characters to some degree would understand, which is that in this context, I have actually mixed feelings about this as an idea in D&D in general, but it's definitely important to understand in this context. In this setting, the different types of things that aren't mundane talk to each other, right? Like in first edition D&D, psionics and magic are in a totally different wavelength. Right. And in fact, divine and arcane magic are just completely different. They taste different. There's no relationship. In this setting, there's a distinction to be made, but in general, like they all can sort of see and talk and understand each other. They have more in common than they have different. So with that having been said, Ash's sort of throwing off of this charge, right, to sort of test it, as it moves down the corridor, it's like normal, hits some kind of a seam halfway down the corridor. It's an invisible seam, but bright flash, big time, something heavy is going on here. Normal again.
Okay. I'm just going to rub his hands together. The nice side effect of this is that everybody else can see that, so he doesn't really have to say anything to describe what just happened.
Yeah.
So, Latchkey, sort of watching this, but they glance around and they ask, Princess, what can you tell us about the Chimera Project?
Nice and to the point.
Members of the Chimera Project created the princess for the study of xenomorphic organisms.
What is a xenomorphic organism?
Creatures from the stars.
I'm going to nudge Balmo and say, which circle of the abyss did you think we were in again?
Balmo has taken off his hat and is really working his fingers through his hair, trying to wrap his head around this cosmology that has demons that have stolen a piece of heaven, maybe to study some aliens. That's kind of his best guess currently. I I think this is some apocrypha here, is what he says. But it seems to be at least a step in the right direction of out of wherever we were. The abyss. Excuse me. He motions to Demertha to follow in the direction of the door where everybody else is.
Okay. So before we leave, do we want to check out some of these platforms?
That's what I was thinking. I think we're going to need you, Latchkey. It seemed to respond to you. And also, do we still keep calling you Latchkey, or do you have any memory of the name Org Mechaleka?
Oh, Orgnention should be familiar to at least Balmo as a name. Maybe also to Ash. Because he's still a wanted man in Greyhawk, and one of the most high profile. There's probably posters of him at the post office. He was the leader of the Nenshin Syndicate, which was such a successful criminal organization it was sarcastically referred to as the Thieves Guild of Greyhawk. And it was broken up a few years ago. That Rikashi used to work for them. Mm-hmm. Those of you who, now that's all of you actually, who've passed sort of closer to those smaller platforms to the south, you can see there's something, there's like a metal ring around the edge of them that's set into the floor, into the surface of the platform. It's still white, so it's not very well distinguished from the rest of the material, but you can see that there's some kind of text that is written on them. You'd have to get closer to the platform to read it, but you can see that there's text there.
Okay.
On which one?
At least the two that are closest together, the U and the P, the closest together to the south, because you've passed close enough to them to see that there's something written there.
Well, we'll go and take a look at the one that's marked U.
Okay. So, do you move on to the dais?
Yes.
Okay. There is a tone from overhead in the same way that it's the same sort of... It's like, here's a new sound from a disembodied voice. Instead of being a voice, it's like a... And the same voice says, this transportation platform is unassigned. And then looking at the text on the ring, you can see that it just says unassigned, 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 and like a ring around it.
In what language?
In common.
Oh, that's what the U is for.
This has all been in common. The whole thing has been in common so far. The overhead voice has been in common.
Right, and these numbers are common script numbers.
Common. So the numeral system for common is the same as the numeral system for Old Iridian. So there's slight ambiguity there, but
almost taking a look at the P platform.
The P platform says pyramid all the way around it.
Unassigned pyramid.
He reports that. Was there a pyramid somewhere?
On the map?
No.
There was a volcano.
There's a volcano.
There was that bat with a triangle for a head.
How are the words being shown?
They are on a strip of metal that is set into the edge of the platform.
So, hang on. I'm going to walk on over here by Balmo. Not on it. Not going on it. But does it look like it's like carved in?
Yeah, like etched,
Etched. Huh. Well, I check out H.
H says Sky Harbor all the way around. I'm sorry, Star Harbor.
Star Harbor sounds cool.
All right. Well, let's see what the last one is.
Needle.
Star Harbor, pyramid, needle, and unassigned. That unassigned one's real weird to me.
And is there anything obvious matching these on the numeric ones?
The numeric ones actually have numbers on them. The numbers are in metal. They're just set into the center of them, right? Okay. So it's like some kind of a labeling system, but it's different for the ones to the north and the ones to the south.
Would an insight roll be applicable here, or is that more of an interpersonal?
I think insight
skill
means
check.
something funny. Just a second. Because the ability system in 4th edition is the stupidest part of 4th edition that I didn't change. So...
That is definitely true.
I need to look up what insight does. Insight is indeed, it's interpersonal relationship insight. It's your insight into like what's going on with somebody or the relationship between people. Reading body language, etc. A useful skill, but not terribly applicable here, unless you have a crazy stunt for me.
Not off the top of my head.
Okay, I need to know. Is Star Harbor a New England pun or not?
Much as I always want to take credit for all puns, it is not.
One of the I mean, this sounds a little hyperbolic.
I didn't
but
say
one of the worst
Star
things,
Harbor, did I, Josh?
Yeah. One of the worst things about being in California is listening to people talk about Fallout 4, which is set in Boston, and the DLC Far Harbor, and not understand that there's a joke. Part of me died inside. Part of me. Okay, continue.
But let's see. Sarsimian, I think I'm going to choose you. I think that you are the person in the party currently who has spent the most time playing 3 Dragon Ante.
Okay.
The princess has a value of 4. In 3 Dragon Ante, I'm just telling you something about the way the game works. In 3 Dragon Ante, there's a section of cards that are dragons, and there's a section of cards that are mortals. Okay? There are 2 of each numerical value of the numbers that are mortals. There are 2 of each. So like there's 2 different types of 4s.
Okay.
There's the princess. I'd have to look up my notes. I'd have to be able to run my computer in order to say quickly, like rattle off what all the other ones are.
I get the idea.
Yeah, so there's 2 different 4s, and the mortal numbers are 3 through 8.
Oh.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm sorry, 3 through 9, excuse me. So the point is, you're at a 4, there's a 3, a 5, a 6, a 7, an 8, and a 9.
Gotcha.
Those are the other mortal numbers. He should probably be able to figure that out.
Yeah. Okay, that makes total sense now.
Yeah, I was trying to decide if Balmo could deduce that, and I figured I should rely on dice because that's reflecting his current deduction abilities as far as his surroundings go.
I think it's fine. So specifically, each of the mortal types has like a fair and a foul, and the princess is the fair 4.
Okay. So if we go into the... Okay. I so badly want to step on the 5, but I also really want... Okay.
What value does the Chimera have? Is that a...
It's not part of the deck normally, right?
It's not part of the deck normally, but all the cards have numbers assigned. They're all printed with numbers, right? So you have the Chimera card, and you know that it's a 15.
So I assume that's 1 higher than the highest number that's usually in the deck?
It's the same number as the Dracolich.
Okay.
The Dracolich is normally not paired.
Right.
Yeah.
I see.
So the gist is very likely all of these numbers refer to a room. It will likely be associated with the mortal version. So if there's some kind of, the dragon version is going to be a different type of room, or one of the Star Harbor places.
Or it might be, it might be in one of the other locations if we can deduce that those 3 through 9 are in this building.
This cube, this 100 by 100 foot cube. That is definitely not bigger than that.
Well, so we stood on a platform and it teleported us here, or transported us here.
Mm-hmm.
Does it not seem reasonable to suppose that these other platforms are other means of transportation, like teleportation, like potentially to other cubes or other locations.
Very probably.
Does anyone have a relatively small object that they are okay with losing?
Yes, I've got plenty. I go into my pouch, something that I picked up on the market somewhere, and I toss it over to Ash. It's like a little carved dog out of wood.
Nice. Okay. I am going to try several things.
Okay.
I'm saying that out loud. So first up, I'm going to walk back over to the needle one here, and I'm going to place the dog on it.
Ash places the dog on the platform labeled needle. Nothing happens.
Okay. All right. That was my first thing. I'm going to pick it back up.
Mhm.
Okay. Feel free to interrupt anyone if you have an issue here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to walk back over the door, and I'm going to chuck it so that it goes past the area of the magical thing that we saw.
That line of something
Yep.
funky's going on.
Yep.
Yes. Chucking it so it will dependently go that far means that it just sails clean across and hits the door on the other side. No evidence of any disturbance. No evidence of any. Visually, it looks like it just goes down a hallway and lands on the other side.
But it's not so far away. We can see it, right? So we can see that it's there.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, Ash is going to go back over this, and he's going to slap his hand down on the middle of the platform.
Back to the needle platform.
Yeah.
When he slaps it down, there's that boom boom noise again, and it says, "You do not have permission to access this platform."
So, Latchkey will walk over to Ash and take his hand in one of their hands and press their other. Well, basically, just put a foot on the needle platform.
So,
Wait, no.
no, you already said it, so that's happening.
Yeah.
But I just want to make
that's
sure I
silent.
understand what's happening. Latchkey is putting their foot on the platform.
While holding Ashlar's hand. Yeah.
While
With the
holding
hand.
Ashlar's hand.
I'm very. It's like, I know.
Okay.
All these things that seem like they should be
I
relatively
feel like
simple.
I feel like both Latchkey and Ash have, like, just by virtue of being, like, weird, tough, magical, like, mineral people, like, there's certain lack of concern for bodily integrity compared to the squishy humans.
Mineral people.
Nevertheless, Balmo sees them both monkeying around with these teleportation pads and starts swirling his tankard in preparation.
For
The
heavy
voice
drinking.
comes back and says, "Do you wish to transport to the needle?" Oh, sorry, Orgnention. Do you wish to transport to the needle?
Not yet. And they remove their foot.
Whew. Thanks. Don't go jetting off, guys. We got to find Callista first. Then we can go and kind of figure out how this all works together.
Okay, so I'm going to go back over. I'm going to kind of make a little, thank you gesture to Latchkey for the assist there. Go back over by the hallway. Okay. It seems to me that it is relatively likely that we can pass through the hallway safely.
Certainly small wooden dogs can.
Then I think we should. And I'll walk over and I'll pick up the wooden dog.
How's Demertha doing, by the way?
Demertha is just kind of agog at all of this. She is confused and actually has produced. So there's a lot of sort of marveling, but after a while of just being clearly out of her depth, she's produced a little notebook and is scribbling notes on it. So you're going to take the corridor? Is this?
Yes. I believe so.
And so Sir Simeon walks. So when Sir Simeon walks through that, there's no obvious. He doesn't get cubed by lasers or anything.
Please don't cue me.
Nope, he does not get cued by lasers.
That was last season.
No obvious, no distortion, no change, just like he walked down a normal hallway. So to me, it feels like a normal hallway. There is no evidence.
I'll follow.
Okay.
Okay. Down the hallway.
So you can approach the door on the other side. Does anyone do anything at that door? Because it's the door is the same as it was in the other room. It looks basically identical.
It seems like we basically need latchkey to kind of get us around through this.
Well,
Not that one. That one we had to ask the princess to open.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Princess, would you mind doing the honors?
please clarify. Would you like the door open?
Yes, princess.
The door opens as the princess says, in the future, you may open the door. You may open doors by touching them.
Oh, I thought that didn't work. Thanks, princess.
Didn't work when they touched
I
them.
think-
No.
Oh,
But you're a people.
I see.
Okay, so for those of you who, for Roll20, there we go, is working, can see that this, beyond the door, is another room with roughly the same proportions of the last room you were in, so that is very large. However, there are several things that are different about this room. The walls appear to be probably about the same color, but the light is much lower here. The ceiling still glows. It just glows at a much fainter level and with a very, very pronounced red tint to it. At the center, there is some sort of a strange, contorted... is it a pillar? Is it a gigantic flower? Is it some kind of an abstract sculpture? Hard to say, but that's what is at the center of the room. It's hard to talk about colors in this red light, but some combination of light and dark hues looks very organic and decidedly strange. All around the outside of the room, in three major segments that mean that there's sort of like a pathway between those segments that forms kind of a Y. Mm-hmm. There are these glass, or at least transparent and glass-like, bubbles. Or, what they look like is giant inverted test tubes, basically. They are big cylinders of glass that end in domed caps that come up out of the floor. Mm-hmm. And in them...
Big bell jars?
Sure.
Yeah.
They're all generally the same size, roughly between 4 and 5 feet in diameter, about 7 or so feet tall. And they all have some sort of fluid in them and then things floating in them. And you'd have to get a lot closer to them to talk in detail about what sorts of things, but definitely creatures or pieces of creatures. You can say with confidence just walking into the room.
So it's less bright in here. How much less bright?
Low light, effectively.
Okay. I will step out a little bit in front then and make a fireball in my hand just to better illuminate.
Okay, so Ash is supplying some stronger lighting. Under the stronger lighting, you can definitely see, there are some of these tubes have whole creatures in them, and many of them have pieces of creatures in them, like an arm, or a head, or a tentacle.
And when we say creatures, is it all animals and monsters, or any of these look like...
Do they look like pieces of the same thing?
Humanoids.
No, lots of variety. The whole animals tend to be... they just tend to be of the size that can fit in the dimensions described, right? And the larger pieces are probably, at least mostly, pieces from animals that wouldn't fit in these dimensions, that are too large.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes organs.
But there's basically a shit ton of parts and pieces in here.
Yeah, we're talking about, dozens and dozens and dozens of these tubes. No evidence that anything repeats. So, lots of variety.
And so, are any of them humanoid?
Looking around, let's see. Yeah, with enough, if you're sort of looking around on the first kind of main corridor there, basically the it's like a upside down Y, right? So if you're on the what is otherwise the downstroke of the Y. Yeah, there are a couple that are humanoids, but they aren't humanoids you recognize.
Okay.
There's no individual that from a species that we would know.
Looking around. There looks like there's an owlbear.
Oh.
And looking around. Enough walking, you can find one of those stump monsters.
Oh. The weird rabbit things?
The wolf in sheep's clothing.
No rabbit, just a stump with tentacles and a mouth.
Okay.
Ash is going to walk pretty close. I'm going to turn around and just say xenomorphic life forms and kind of look back over at the tubes.
Ash, your fireball is throwing off a brighter and less red, although probably still kind of red, light than is coming from overhead. And when you pass relatively close to this strange object in the center of the room, there's a slight kind of like a slight screeching noise, like as you get closer to it, and it vibrates a little bit. That fades out as you move away from it.
Balmo's getting his mace ready. He's been stalking towards this big creepy thing in the middle of the room. Pretty much not taking his eyes off it.
Okay, so I take a step closer and it screeches more.
Yes.
I take 2 steps here. I take steps down here to be kind of equidistant, but around the outside. Does it stay steady as I walk around? It
stays steady. If your distance remains steady relative to it, the noise stays steady as well.
Is it moving at all? Perceptibly?
It's It's like sort of shaking a little bit. Not terribly clear how, because like the floor is still very steady. But like I said, it looks very organic, and this looks like almost like a leaf in the wind.
Is there any way I can do some quick, I don't know, like math in my head and maybe my knowledge of, I don't know, harmonics to figure out like is there a relationship between that sound that it's making and like the integrity of the glass tubes that are around us?
Oh, that's an interesting idea.
So I'm assuming that's a no.
I mean, I'm mostly just thinking like, how on earth? What would you roll for?
I know there's
that?
not like a math skill or like there's not really an academics or.
I mean, the closest I can think is dungeoneering.
Yeah,
it's not really any knowledge.
Dungeoneering is basically engineering. So
that's true. Yeah.
I mean, for this setting.
All right.
So yeah, make a dungeoneering roll. Sure.
I'm gonna go ahead and give myself +5 to that. And let's see.
Note that he is using an actual effect, not just being generous.
Hey guys, I'm gonna take +5 on this one. 28.
Okay. Yeah. You're not concerned about the harmonic resonance.
Okay.
It does not seem like it's the sort of thing that would be at play here.
It's not pitchy enough, Doc.
Yeah. It's pitchy, but it's not pitchy enough.
Are any of these bell jars empty?
Ooh, good question.
Yes. Some of them are. There's no evidence of a pattern or an organizational scheme, and as you can see from the map, they go very deep. You can't even walk among them. But you can see every once in a while one of them's empty, sure.
So I want to say that when they came up to the door, Latchkey bent down to pick up the little wooden dog.
Yep.
And they're going to chuck it into the center of this like slightly squealing, vibrating thing.
This poor dog.
The dog hits the strange, vibrating, screeching thing. and bounces off of it and thunks to the ground. There is a slight increase in the pitch and the volume when it lands on the thing, but that immediately goes away. Like,
That's so weird.
Balmo says, "Princess, what is in the center of this room that we're in?"
The object at the center of the recombination laboratory
Oh, God.
does not have a name.
What is its function?
It facilitates recombination.
Latchkey just kind of reaches up and rests their hand against their 5 crystals and takes a couple steps back from the thing in the center.
Mm-hmm.
Recombination.
So there's 2 entryways. I go down one of the 2 bends of the Y. There's kind of 2 entryways marked here. One looks like it has a door, and the other one doesn't.
Sorry, that's just because it's because I can't get my magnification right to use the reveal tool in a way that is like super helpful. So let me clarify.
Oh, okay.
There you go. There are doors at both of the exits. So
okay.
You come down from the entrance to this room that you came through was at the top of the northern wall, and then the aisle between these glass tubes splits, and at the corners, the south, east, and west corners of this room, there's a door on sort of either side, like right before the corner, right before the juncture of the 2 walls.
Mm-hmm.
So, do we think the Chimera Society was using this thing? He gestures with his tap handle to the critter in the middle to make hybrids, taking pieces of this creature and that, and making one creature out of them.
I'm starting to feel that is probably the case.
Like a large frog monster with eye stalks that explodes?
Something very similar to that. Or that metal monstrosity that we saw.
Well, I was thinking more like an owl bear. You know, if you had an owl and a bear, you might make something like an owl bear.
I don't know, that seems pretty far-fetched to me.
Owl bears are natural animals.
Are they?
Ash is going to get kind of a little bit of a patronizing look and say, just because it's called an owl bear does not mean it is actually a combination of an owl and a bear. This is figurative language.
I'm going to roll nature.
I just want to point out that I really regret missing the opportunity to make a pun about a clock lobster.
16. What do I know about the natural history of owl bears?
Owl bears are fairly common apex predators, known throughout the Fleneus, generally held to be in some way magical. The most common story is that there's some result of some wizard's experiments, but there's no particular story that you know that's associated with where they come from.
Balmo's gonna actually Ash. He's gonna halfling splain.
Yes.
Some people believe that owl bears were in fact formed from owls and bears and propagated themselves afterward.
Balmo, just because somebody believes something doesn't make it true.
Oh, snap.
I'm going to make my own nature roll.
No. This old dwarf I know, Gomir. He used to come into the bar
12.
every day. A 12?
Yeah. Not that exciting.
Okay, and your nature roll was for what purpose? Just like knowing something about owlbears? Okay, give me an obviously wrong fact about owlbears then.
They hatch from eggs.
Actually, do they?
Yeah, they were they were the first animal domesticated in the Flinnaeus.
Okay, there you go. That's what you get for your 12. Okay, so we're talking owlbears. Anybody else doing anything?
Latchkey is going to ask, how would one create a recombinated creature in this room?
Oh, Latchkey is just speaking that question aloud?
Yeah, to the princess.
So I'm going to point out, previously when we've addressed the princess, we've said princess beforehand. So a question just spoken into the air doesn't seem to have any response.
Okay, then they will amend that by saying princess and then asking the question.
That requires contact with the object at the center of the room.
I'm kind of like sneaking up to Balmo,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm pulling Balmo away from. God damn it! I always forget her name. Desdemona, Demertha. Just so that they stay away from each other and this thing. So I'm like, hey, Balmo, why don't we come down over here? And then I'll come over here. No, stop.
Oh, where?
Balmo.
I don't.
Why do you want to be next to the thing? I'm nervous for you.
I'm nervous. I'm nervous for all of us.
Great. While you're escorting Balmo down, Demertha reaches out a hand and touches the object.
No.
God.
Uh-oh.
The object... Let's see. Ash is far enough away that it's not screeching anymore.
Did it only screech when Ash approached, not when anyone else approached?
It was a light.
It was definitely screeching from the light. Because it was when the light got close to it and when the light moved away from it that the screeching started or stopped.
I see.
Yeah. It does not like the brighter, less red light.
Gotcha. Okay.
Demertha touches this unnamed sort of, now that you've gotten closer to it and gotten a better look, some kind of a towering meat flower might be the best description of it. She reaches out a hand and just touches it lightly, and some tendrils that are on the side of it start to undulate, kind of like a sea anemone moves.
Mm-hmm.
And Demertha just kind of stands there with her hand on it. Those of you I think Balmo and Sarsemian can, from their vantage, can kind of see her face. Her eyes have gone entirely white.
Oh no. Oh no.
Demertha!
How can I...
Get away from it!
Can I teleport and grab her and throw her away? Is that a thing I could do to intervene?
You can go. So you want to go to her, and then you want to essentially grapple her away.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Sure.
Probably a better idea.
Give me a strength check.
Strength check. So that's just a D20 plus strength, nothing else?
A D20 plus a strength modifier. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. And half level. Every D20 roll is always half level in this edition.
8. I rolled a 1.
Ouch.
You rolled a natural 1.
I rolled a natural 1, correct.
So
It always comes at the end of an episode. It's pretty good.
You cannot pull her off, and also you fall over.
God damn it.
Well, at least we didn't make a Sarmertha.
It's the least heroic thing I've ever done.
That's kind of where I was expecting it to go.
So, but after you've done that and have made sort of an ass of yourself, Demertha releases her hand from it, and her eyes go normal, and she's a little bit like dazed, like, "Whoa, what was that? That was really strange." And the voice from the princess says, "Recombination program accepted."
Oh, God. Demertha, what did you do?
I didn't think I was doing anything. I could see all these different things, and some of them lit up, and then I was back here again.
what lit up?
Probably.
Let's find out, Demertha.
Oh god, it's a random roll. This is going to turn into a random monster. We're all going to die.
It's the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man.
That would be awesome. But it would be tonally inappropriate.
Mm-hmm.
It would just be awesome.
It's
What
the
would
Tarask.
So while after the question is asked, but before Demertha can answer, the princess also says, "You may collect your program's output in the delivery bay."
Where is that?
There's no response to that question.
Oh, right. Princess, where's the delivery bay?
The fastest route is through this door. And, can I draw somehow? Yeah. It's a terrible arrow, but that's the door that opens.
The rightmost door.
Yes. The door on the eastern wall at the southeastern fork of the pathway between the test tubes.
Okay, well. No time like the present.
Yeah. I think now that something has been created, we have an obligation to
Destroy it immediately.
To see it and to possibly destroy it.
we have a responsibility to it.
I'm not a big fan of the Chimera project, guys.
These guys are jerks.
So that door is open now. So that open door leads to a hallway. The hallway extends further than the last one. The last one was only about 10 feet long. This is a full 25. And then it turns 90 degrees, and there's a staircase. The stairs are it's all the same material, the same plain white material.
Mm-hmm.
That staircase rises somewhere between 25 and 30 feet. And then there's a little more hallway, and then another right turn, and another door. Another one of these metal doors.
Okay. Princess, please open the door.
The door opens. In this new room, the same materials as before. So again, white, plain, lacking in detail or obvious seam. The light from the glowing ceiling overhead is bright white again, the same quality of light as in the first room that you arrived in. So it's bright again. Again, the light is just slightly off. There's something about it that's not right. It doesn't feel like normal light. There's a sort of a walkway all around the outside of the room, like it's on like a balcony, like a wraparound balcony, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there is a low wall at the edge of that balcony. It's the same white material, so it's not translucent, and it's not grated or anything. You can't see through it. It's only about 3 feet high.
Crap.
It's bad news for Balm. And then past the balcony, right over that rail, it's not rail, but low wall, there is it's effectively a pit, or at least it goes down a couple dozen feet to a floor below where there are, the floor below, it's a pit in that it doesn't extend beyond, like, I was describing it as a balcony, but a balcony you would be able to go underneath, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not so the area below
Right.
the wall. It's like a pit in that sense, right? The wall just goes straight down.
Mm-hmm.
About a couple dozen feet. In the four corners of the pit are what appear to be miniature versions of that weird thing that was at the center of the last room.
But this
the
is bright
undulating
lighting in here.
It has bright lighting in here.
Okay.
And there's some sort of a strange translucent green energy that fills the entire pit up to the level of the floor of the balcony. Right? Mm-hmm. So basically the entire pit is full of this strange green energy, so the light is not entering it the same way.
Okay.
And something is at the center of that pit. Oh, there's some sort of a weird, like, panel with lights and doohickeys over at the south end of the room. And there is an exit on the west and the eastern sides. Again, same door. I'll describe it if the doors are very different. There's something at the center of that pit, and I will place that if we come back together and play some more later. Okay?
Okay.
But for now,
Sounds
you
good.
should know that the creature has arrived, and we'll establish what the creature is.
We're
in a bit.
creeping up to the low wall with dread and about to peer over.
There you go.
All right. Thanks, you guys. I will talk to you later.
Okay. Sounds good.
That's it this week for the Chimera. Our theme music is Hoof, Heart, and Hiss by Matt Weber. You can find a link to more of Matt's work and any other music used in this episode in the show notes. You can also find us online at thechimera.space or on Twitter and Facebook at ChimeraPod. If you enjoy the show, please consider leaving us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or just telling your friends. Join us back here in 2 weeks for the next episode, and thanks for listening.